rigg här, en typisk är 129.
The world's toughest crash test is performed here, the Plus Test. What exactly is it and what's the general idea behind it?
Well, partly we use a higher speed than the standard regulations. We run at 56 kilometers per hour instead of 50. And then we have a shorter braking distance as well. So we go from, well, 600, 650 to 500, 550. So we're removing 10 centimeters, and that doesn't sound like much, but it makes a big difference.
Exactly, because it becomes like a significant multiplier on that. And it becomes, yeah, it's a real impact.
It goes bang. It doesn't really leave room for thoughts or questions, so to speak.
The Plus Test is primarily a crash test, right? And it's mainly the neck that's important.
Absolutely. We focus on the child's best interests, and it's not a consumer test where we weigh several parameters. Instead, we focus on the neck forces.
Exactly, and the neck is the most fragile part of the child, that is. So we think it's very good that the focus is on that. Many people ask what kind of grade we get in the Plus Test, for example. What does that part look like?
Well, there's no scale. Either you've passed it or you haven't passed it. And that's precisely because we want to make it as simple as possible. It's simply a pass or a fail.
And that's what you see on the sticker on the seat, for example.
Yes.
Whether it passed or not.
Yes, if you don't have a sticker, you haven't passed it.
No, exactly.
Plain and simple.
In Sweden, we've been sitting rear-facing since the 60s. That's so far back in time, and you've been testing seats here. How long have you been testing seats here at VTI?
Oh, it's been a long time. Well, here in Linköping, we've been around since the late 70s, I think, when we moved here. And I was going to say it started when we moved in. We started with child car seats very early on.
A bit has happened over the years here, one must say, both with the Plus Test and with the car seats. Are the same principles still applicable now as they were then? Or how does it look?
Yes, well, it more or less is. That rear-facing means that you travel more safely simply because the whole body is pressed into the seat. Instead of if you had a forward-facing one where you're slowed down by the harness or belt and the neck has to take most of it and bend forward. And we see afterwards, I mean, we've seen wicker chairs, we've seen plastic, and we've seen all sorts of things in that regard, so to speak. So it's lucky that development is moving forward, we must say.
Exactly. The Plus Test is voluntary today. Do you think it should be mandatory?
We think that everyone should carry out the test, or at least try it, precisely because we focus on neck forces. And R129 doesn't do that, as mentioned.
And how does it look in R129?
Well, today it's something that is monitored, so we still report the neck values as they are, but there's no limit value set.
So the Q dummies are equipped with neck sensors from the start, but it's not measured in R129.
No, exactly. Or it is measured, but it's only for monitoring, meaning that you should monitor and then state in the report what the values are, but there are no limits.
There are no limits in that. And that's where the Plus Test comes into the picture, among other things.
Exactly, that's where we step in and say that there must be a limit set. Precisely because the neck is so vulnerable. The Plus Test is the world's toughest crash test, and we think everyone should try it or at least perform it once to see what neck forces they might be subjected to.
You don't have a grading system in the Plus Test, but you have two different tests or sizes, or whatever you'd call it.
Yes, exactly. We use two different dummies, Q6 and Q3, which are different heights, either 125 or 105 centimeters.
How big is the difference between the Q3 dummy and the Q6 dummy in the crash force?
We've actually set a limit for Q3 at 1460, and then for Q6 the limit is set at 1880. We're talking newtons, just to be clear.
Exactly, and that's how it measures how hard it crashes, basically.
Exactly, what readings we get on the neck sensors.
Yes, and it's the neck values that are those newtons.
Yes, exactly.
You have a list of approved seats on your website, vti.se. There you can see that some have kilograms and some have height in their approval. What's the difference there?
Well, kilograms were in the original Plus tests, or the limits there were linked to R44, which had levels or groups based on weight. Today, R129 is based on height instead, and the Plus test simply followed that development. So we also started grading according to height instead.
Yes, exactly. So it's a bit like those marked with kilograms used P dummies and height used Q dummies.
That's right, correct.
The Plus test is a Swedish test, of course. Are there any plans for, what does it look like abroad for you?
Since we require the car seat to first be approved according to R129, we've excluded some markets. But in the future, we don't know. It might be expanded.
To other markets too, but maybe other product groups as well?
Yes, exactly. We have a small research project now where we focus on infant carriers and the smaller dummies that fit in them, and potentially setting requirements and including them in the Plus test.
And forward-facing seats are not something we've thought about so far. Booster seats, I'm thinking.
No, because we've seen how they've performed historically, so to speak, in the Plus test. We don't see any of them making it onto our list of approved seats today. But we don't know, but on the other hand, we all know that rear facing is best.
We get a lot of questions sent to us regarding the Plus test. Some of the most common, like, misunderstandings that arise. Which ones do you find they are?
Well, it's partly that the Plus test and the weight of the seat would correlate. But we only guarantee up to 125 centimeters if we're talking about a Q6 or a 6-year-old, or 105 if we're talking about a Q3, a 3-year-old.
Exactly, and then it's about 18 and 23 kilograms. That's the weight difference if you...
That's exactly what the crash test dummies weigh, yes.
Exactly. And we sometimes you read things and there's a lot of talk about the speed that not everyone really knows about it. Do you want to just mention the speed now? How fast does it go and what determines it?
Yes, exactly. Well, we run at 56 kilometers per hour. I was going to say it probably has to do with history. We've arrived at that through testing.
Your braking distance is quite special too.
It's 10 centimeters shorter than what regulation 129 is.
Here in Linköping, another Swedish product is manufactured, namely the Jazz fighter jets. And we know that a fighter pilot is exposed to powerful G-forces. How do a fighter pilot's G-forces compare to a child's in a Plus test, for example?
I was going to say pilots are exposed to about 9 Gs, and in a 129 test, it's 55 Gs on a child. But then they're exposed to this for different amounts of time. You have to keep that in mind too, but it's a lot of force.
Yes, you've sometimes seen those films where they get like really pressed into the seat like this and then it's significantly more.
Absolutely. And then if we talk about crash pulse or curve, so to speak, our 129 is somewhere around 20 Gs. But in the Plus test, it gets up to over 30 Gs. So it's a bit of a steeper slope there too.
Indeed. If you're a parent looking for a stage 2 seat, what should you look for then?
Well, preferably rear facing, and then that it's Plus tested. Because as I said, all Plus tests are done here in Linköping at our lab. We have control over rigs, dummies, all those things included in the test, so you can feel confident that we've conducted it under controlled conditions.
You have the world's toughest crash test performed here, the Plus test. Then that should mean that a Plus tested car seat is a good car seat.
Absolutely, it is. We set slightly higher requirements, and that can sometimes mean design changes or that the manufacturers have to put a little extra time and care into their development of the seat.
Great, that's something we really appreciate. Any type of over-testing that drives this industry forward towards a safer future for our children is something that we are for.
And we're grateful for that.
Yes, wonderful.